In this video, I want to just look at titles, different types of titles that are out there. And I really want to talk about one-tier titles and two-tier titles. So a one-tier title is just simply one title, and it's the main title, and you don't get any other titles. One-tier titles are very popular with mainstream texts, popular text, not necessarily popular because everyone loves them, but popular because they're meant for the general population, not a technical population. So it's just these could be magazine articles, movies, newspaper articles are popular texts. There are a lot of the movie titles, as I said. These sorts of titles are very common. And, also works of literature that were just meant to be enjoyed as entertainment way back when. Nowadays, they've become objects of study, but just think of all the great books that really have only one title to them, right? Like Plato's, The Republic, or Shakespeare's, Titus Andronicus, or something like that. It's just one title. Here's a movie that has only one title, The Pursuit of Happiness. That's it. Now, there's other stuff on there, like the actor's name, and then there's going to be a little line here saying inspired by a true story, but that's not part of the title. So it's very clear this is a one-tier title. Sometimes books meant for a popular audience get a one-tier title, like this one. Stephen Hawking writes here about the cosmos, and he's writing to the general reader, not the technical researcher, not the advanced scientist, but just the educated reader. So this is a popular book, even though it's one of great substance, and professionalism. Don't ever think that the fact that it's just meant for general consumption doesn't mean that it's not highly professional. Those two very often go hand in hand. But here you have only one title. You see The Universe in a Nutshell. That's it. That's a one-tier title. As I mentioned before, great works of literature will often just have a one-tier title. Magazine articles. Now, David Foster Wallace wrote this article. This is actually a famous article called "Consider the Lobster." I think you ought to read this article at least once in your life. But he is one of our greatest writers as far as the American writing landscape in the last 30 years or so. He's passed away, but he wrote a lot of these sorts of articles, and here's just a simple title: Consider the Lobster. It's one-tiered. I will just say that this is actually a very famous title, but there you have it. Well, what about the two-tier title? So a two-tier title is a title that is actually a combination of two titles. One is going to be the main title, and the other one is going to be the subtitle, okay? And sometimes you will see that, many times, in fact, you will see a colon separating the two. You'll never have a comma, you'll never have a semicolon, you'll never have a period. You might have some other marks of punctuation, like sometimes an exclamation mark, a question mark, or a dash, but never a semicolon, never a period, and never just a comma. The colon itself is very popular for this. Now, this is how you would take the title and just write it. Say if you were to use it in your paper as a source. When it comes to formatting the title on the page itself, you see that formatting takes the upper hand, and there is no colon here, but the main title will always be the more prominently placed title, and then the subtitle will be the other title on the cover. Sometimes it'll be in slightly smaller font. Sometimes the font will be much smaller, as it is here. I know David Wessel is the author, so obviously he's not part of the title. So this book has a two-tier title. All right. Now, a lot of academic work have two-tier titles. The reason for that is in academic work like journal articles, the title is going to play a huge part as to whether or not your work is going to be found by a search engine and actually read by the researcher. They're going to search for work related to the topic through a database, and the more keywords you can have in your title, if you will, And the more information you can pack into that title, the faster that researcher who finds your paper as a result in a search list, as a search, just reading the title ought to give them enough to make them realize this is something I need to read because it's very close to what I'm researching, or maybe it lets them know this is not necessarily something I need to look at, I can skip it. There's just too many documents out there, you can't read them all, so it's very important to let your reader know if they can skip your article if they're doing serious research and they're just trying to find material that clusters around their own approach. So using up all that space is something academicians do quite often. I'm talking about the space afforded by having two titles up there. Now this is an interesting title. I included this one because of the way it's using punctuation. This is actually the main title. Almost always, well, when you format a title this way, the very first title, as you read from left to right, top to bottom, that first title is going to be your main title. Okay. Now, Brian Ott has a quote from Bart as part of his title, so that's why you have quotation marks around it, see? Because this is actually a quote from Bart, and that's why the punctuation is as it is, because he's just quoting this statement directly from how Bart would say it, Bart Simpson. And in this case, there's the mark of punctuation that separates the main title from the subtitle. The subtitle is A Study in Postmodern Identity Reconstruction. Now notice the play with the parentheses to kind of add another little nuance to the title. We're looking at how we construct postmodern identity, but then also how we tear that down and use the scraps to reconstruct something again. You know, this is a very busy title, but I want to use it to just show you how much information can be packed, all right, into an academic two-tier title. Here's another one. To take care of the monks, take care of Christina. There's just your colon. Christina of Marcia, oops, excuse me, and the medieval spiritual material market. All right, so again, you're really trying to put as much information in there as you can, so that people that look at the title can say, this is something that I need to actually print out or read because the title promises that it's going to be close to my own area of research. So, but then to include the exception, not all academic journal articles are going to have two-tier titles. Here's an example of one that just simply has a one-tier title because it has only one title on there, right? Mapping Scottish Identity in the Roman de Fergus. Okay, if it had a subtitle, then you would have a colon here or a dash or an exclamation mark. None of those seems to be appropriate except for the colon. The colon here, and then maybe you would have a little bit more description as to what the paper was about. Okay, so what I want you to take away from this video is just being able to recognize what is a one-tier title, what is a two-tier title, and then for practice in this class, I want you to be using two-tier titles, okay? So you actually get two titles to put up there, separate them by a colon. Let's just start with that as the basic template. And please be creative, respect the title. It's a very important space. Don't do something like, you know, critique of Farewell My Mailbox or a critique essay. You know, no, that doesn't work. You're really punting and dropping. You know, you're not using that space as it should be used in terms of the complexity you can put in there. Okay, so spend some time thinking about your title, and let's start practicing by using them in your essays. Thanks for watching.